Well, I'd like to welcome you all to the stream. All right, I guess we're good. So let's begin. Great. So this is your weekend review of all the price action that has occurred between the previous few days. And I did outline my expectations for price, and we are going to be going through all of them. And you might have seen that I have been quite right in the high time frame direction for the majority of the pairs. So the first thing which we would really get into is dollar index. From previous week, we have really worked our way into this bullish weekly fair value gap, right? So we have expanded through. So upon this closure last week, I told you that price needs to move higher to the objective, which is 100.643. That is my higher time frame draw liquidity for dollar index. Now, does that mean that the current week will expand to this high? Not at all. It just means that price has expanded and now it needs to consolidate, probably reverse retracement, and then it's going to move higher once again to these levels. So as of now, this looks really good. We have a defined fair value gap right here, which is your weekly bullish fair value gap. Price has taken out a previous week's high right about there. So this means that the following week, which is on the 15th from tomorrow, price can open, move lower into a weekly fair value gap, and that will be enough for price to expand higher to 100.643. So that is what price is set up quite beautifully, and that is the scenario I'm looking forward to. So I'm still bullish on dollar index, just as I explained in the previous week. There is nothing which signifies bearishness to me. We are really closed above this last bearish weekly fair value gap, right? That was the telltale sign. And once price reacted aggressively from a bullish weekly fair value gap, that will be enough for price to get to this high. So the algorithm will now see this high as drawn liquidity, and it's not going to see this as resistance. Okay, so retail will see this high, and this high as resistance. They're probably going to have a zone marked out right there, and they're going to signify this as resistance and expect lower prices, which is what price will give at the beginning of the new week, because we'll have an open and a low, and that is where we are going to be bullish. We're going to wait for our lower time frame confirmations on the daily time frame, and then we're going to expect price to push higher to take out this high, right? So just to clarify that, we are bullish on dollar index. So let's move on to euro. Now, Euro USD, we are still bearish. We had our objectives marked out in the previous week, and I believe I have two of them marked out. So let me just remove that. So the draw is going to be lower for Euro USD. We have really called out the move all the way from here, the move lower, retracement, and now I want to see an expansion lower. All right. So if I just go to, let's say, the daily time frame, probably have more information here. So what do you see here? This was the daily fair value gap I marked out in the previous week. So in this week or the following week, I expect price to react off of this daily fair value gap, right? So it is going to be quite simple. I don't really use anything complicated. I just try to use your fair value gaps. I try to use your inversions and of course, liquidity as a whole. So I'm expecting the new week to open, which is right here on Monday, expecting price to probably push higher to take out this high, while dollar index takes out its respective lows into a weekly fair value gap, right? Since Euro USD and dollar index are inversely correlated, that will be quite a nice way for price to set itself up. And then we could probably get a move higher and then lower to target sell side liquidity, right? So that is really what I'm expecting. And this daily fair value gap should ideally hold, and price could probably get to the premium of this range right about here. So it's almost there. So like I said, Monday or Tuesday should give us enough information if price is going to move higher and then form its lower time frame reversal profiles there, and then it's going to push all the way lower to these lows. So that is going to be my bias for Euro USD. And overall, it still looks really good. It still looks really bullish. I'm sorry. I take that back. Still looks really bearish. And dollar index, we should open, move lower, while Euro USD should open and move higher, and then it's going to move from there. All right. Now, same goes for GBP USD. We were really close to our objective, but we didn't really meet it right there. You see on 8th of June on Monday, we didn't really take the objective which I outlined, and price has managed to retrace, and I'm still bearish. I'm not really bullish on GU as well. I'm expecting price to turn over from here and get to these lows and then to these lows. All right, pretty simple. Just the exact same thing which I look for Euro. That's the exact same thing looking for GBP USD as well. So let's move to NASDAQ, right? So everyone is really interested in NASDAQ and where price is going next, okay? So if you want to ask my opinion on NASDAQ is literally neutral here, okay? I am neutral, and let me tell you why. So the first thing is, if you go to the weekly time frame, you see that we have everything we need to be bullish here, right? Just give me a second. All right. So on the weekly time frame, we have everything we need to be bullish, right? Now, what do you see here? You have previous week, which is a retracement, right? We just performed a retracement. Price took out your previous week's high right there. It's your important liquidity pool, and it performed a retracement, right? Where is it going to retrace to? A fair value gap, right? So right here, we have a bullish fair value gap. Price taps right into it. Once retraces back into it again, and we have 50% of the dealing range, which means this is going to be your 50% of the fair value gap, which price has reacted quite aggressively off of, right? So if we just look at the weekly structure all the way from here, this is clearly bullish, right? You can expect the next week to open and expand and take out this high, right? That is really what and the direction I'm leading to as well, but I will be careful. Now, if I go to the daily time frame, you can see why. We have a clear reversal structure printed on the daily time frame. Okay, you have your June's opening price, which is right there. Okay, this vertical line right here is your June's opening price. Price has performed a small open high and expanded lower, right? On top of this, we have a closure between this change in state of delivery. So I called out this move from the daily fair value gap all the way lower. I called that out live. But as of now, since we have a retracement here from the weekly fair value gap, right? And we have SMT to back that move, the following week is going to be quite tricky. Okay, so there are a couple of scenarios which price can move towards. So let me just outline that for you all. The first scenario is price will get to this fair value gap to fill it. Okay, so this is where price will get to. This is the level you need to be quite aware of, because we have this high right here. We have an SMT, which means that price will most likely take out this high. So if it's going to take out this high, we're going to probably move to the 50% of this fair value gap or fill this fair value gap, right? Those are the two levels which we should be quite aware of. Now, how I'm going to play this out is, since I'm neutral biased, is because the daily time frame suggests a reversal, but the weekly time frame suggests a continuation. So this fair value gap right here is all you need to be aware of. Is price going to react and push lower, or is price going to flip this daily fair value gap and move higher? Okay, so these are one of those scenarios where you should be quite aware of a defined fair value gap within a current dealing range to determine if price is going to push lower or if it's going to push higher. So in this case, if price opens here on, price is going to open here on Monday, which is right about there. Let's say we consolidate, right? And on Tuesday, price opens somewhere here, taps into this fair value gap, fills it completely, but of course manages to close somewhat below, right? We don't really get a bullish closure. Then we can be confident that on Wednesday, we are going to expand lower, Thursday is going to move lower, Friday is going to move lower, right? So this is what we can expect. Now, what if price opens here on Monday, pushes lower first, we have engineered liquidity above, Tuesday takes out this high. Wednesday provides a closure above. So we kind of have a swing point formed right here, right there. Sorry. Right here, we have a swing point formed right here, which means that price can expand higher because we have a clear defined low of the week. And Thursday or Friday, any of those days, we could probably expand higher. But Friday, the following Friday is going to be your bank holiday, so you're not going to get much movement there. But regarding where price could go to, this is one of the scenarios which is applicable, right? So you have to be quite aware of both directions. In this case, for NASDAQ, because I am neutral, right? This is really how I work with my neutral bias, because there are times when you will not know to the exact level that price is going to go to, right? So you cannot really be used to or be spoiled by knowing which direction price is going to go to and what levels is going to go there. Be really confident in it. It's not going to be happening all the time, but it is quite possible, right? Just as we have called gold, we have called Bitcoin, we have called NASDAQ and Euro. All of these pairs have been called live in these live stream sessions, and price is played out perfectly from one level to the other, all right? So this is really how I'm going to play NASDAQ moving forward in the next week. Now moving to ES, we have a similar structure. We have the exact SMT at high, change state of delivery here. We have a bearish daily fair value gap, right? Right there. So the same exact thing, which we just outlined with NASDAQ, that is really what I'm going to do here with ES, all right? So I'm expecting price to move higher, but I'm really a bit more bullish on ES. And if price starts moving lower, it's going to be quite difficult for ES to get to these lows. Why is that? Because we have high resistance liquidity right here. Okay, we have HRLR right there. So which means that price is going to have a tough time to get to these lows. It's going to push lower. So I'll be quite aware of that as well. So if you want to short a pair, which is going to be your future, is going to be NASDAQ or ES, you would ideally want to do that on NASDAQ, all right? So if you do want to take a long, you could consider ES because we have low resistance above and we have high resistance below. So that could be a nice way for price to push up high to take out these highs, all right? Now let's move to gold and let's have a look at the call I made, right? How beautiful is this? All of this is live. I've streamed it live on YouTube, so there is not going to be any funny business here. I have not edited anything. It has been told to you live. The logic has been explained to you live. Everything is done right in front of you all right? You can see the drop quite beautifully to take out this low. The objective for gold and has not yet been met, right? Which is going to be a 4,042. I've had this level on from the previous 4 weeks. Since I began live streaming on Sunday on YouTube, I've had this level right here. Price is really close to it, but it didn't really meet it. So I am quite well aware of that. And the reason for that is because silver has taken out its relevant objective. Okay. So before we get to silver, let's just have a look at gold again and just see how beautiful price is, right? Just the daily fair value gaps. If you want to look for continuations on the higher time frames, always focus on your fair value gaps. All right. It's not going to be order blocks. It's not going to be inversions. It's not going to be any of that. All right. It's going to be fair value gaps. So if you really understand how price mechanics are, which is price will first push up higher to engineer liquidity. You can see all the way here. You have engineered liquidity all the way here. Blow off top, right? You probably know of that because of retail terms. Pushes lower, confirms a CISD right about there. We trace this into it. We have, once again, a daily fair value gap. That is really where the movement begins. We have a drop, retracement, daily fair value gap once again, a drop, daily fair value gap once again, and the drop. So really be aware of the fair value gaps, all right? More than anything else, if you have to take one thing away from this live stream session, always mark out your fair value gaps on the higher time frames, okay? That's going to be your monthly, weekly, and the daily time frame. That really give you a clear understanding of where price wants to go to. And you can see right there, we're really close to it. Missed it about, let's say about, really close. I'd say about, not really sure, like 7 to 10 points, basically that. And do I believe gold is going to move lower from here? Yes, I do. I don't really believe that this is the low. Retail might see this as support, but this is liquidity being engineered and price is returning into a daily fair value gap, right? Right here and right here, you have a daily fair value gap, and price should push lower. Just as it did here, just as it did there, it should eventually deliver lower. So this is not really about gold, it's not really about silver, it's not really about what asset I'm trading, right? It's not really even about commodities, right? It can be oil, it can be crypto, it can be anything, right? That's really why I go over every single asset class here. I go over Forex, I go over dollar index, I go over indices, I go over crypto, I go over gold. The reason why I do that is to show you that this is price mechanics, right? Price is going to move in a certain direction, it's going to have certain signatures, and they are really simple. They're just fair value gaps, they're just highs and lows. It's just about identifying the correct liquidity, right? Once you get that, everything else is going to just fall in place, right? Fair value gaps will support your narrative. You'll really be able to see these nice moves. You've seen this live, of course. So that is really where I'm coming from. So I do expect gold to drop and to take out these equal lows. So be mindful of that. And silver, this is what was marked out the previous week in the live stream session. All right, you can go back and check that. We have officially met the objective right there, and we have a reaction. Why did we have this reaction from this exact level? Because it's a liquidity pool. That is why, okay? There is no other reason why price is reacting off of here. There is no other reason why I marked out this low before it got there, right? Price, when it got to the change in state of delivery and we had this movement, that is when I marked this out. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks, and price has finally delivered. And as of now, you can see it right there, okay? Probably zoom in a bit for you all, right here. See that? Price taps that level perfectly, takes out a previous day's low right there, and pushes higher. Before getting to this low, what do we have here? Go to the daily time frame, which is where we are. Mark out your daily fair value gap right there. See that? We reacted directly off of this daily bearish fair value gap and delivered lower to the objective I outlined. Why this objective? Because it's a key liquidity pool. Price is bearish. That is really where price should get to, and that is where it has. Are you not going to be satisfied with this move? Definitely. Do you still expect price to get here? I do. But this reaction or this retracement is normal. Okay, whenever price takes a key liquidity pool, you are going to get a nice retracement. And whenever you get that, this is not a sign for a reversal. Okay, whenever price takes liquidity pool, there are 2 things that can occur. Right? The first is going to be your retracement, which you will most definitely get. All right, especially if you marked out the correct liquidity pools, you will get your retracement. Right? But your reversal is not something which is guaranteed, because you need to identify what is price doing on the higher time frame, which is not just your daily, it's going to be your weekly and your monthly. So in this case, you go to the weekly time frame, you can see we have a nice weekly fair value gap here, which means that even though we have a reaction of this level, this is most likely going to be a retracement. There's not really going to be a reversal to take out these highs next. Okay, so that is really how, when you align time frames into this, that's how it's going to work. So for now, just a retracement is quite normal. There's nothing to worry about. We have reached the objective, of course. So hope you all are watching live and learning this. So as of now, what do I expect? Probably price could get to this daily fair value gap to the 50% and then drop lower once again. But as of now, you're going to stay out and watch how price behaves here. Okay, so the next week can just be consolidated, right? Just consolidate the entire week. And the week after that, we could drop, or the week after that, we could manipulate, and then the week after that, we could drop, right? So we need to give price some time to develop. We need to give price some time to really give us the reversal signature we're looking for. All right. So the objective on silver has been met as well. So great if you all are going to have followed this through. All right. So let's move to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And Bitcoin and Ethereum is quite legendary, right? We call this move all the way from here, from this 50% of the fair value gap to these lows. All right. A perfect call right here when everyone was bullish. And like I said the previous week, because we have taken out a liquidity pool, you can expect a retracement, right? Just as I explained, a retracement is most likely going to be guaranteed, but a reversal, that's not guaranteed, all right? So this week we probably consolidate. The next week we probably retrace into a newly formed weekly fair value gap or to these up close candles. Give it some time, give it some room to breathe, and once again we can see a drop, right? So what I mean by this is to show you a good example right here. Okay, you see this consolidation here. You see price is consolidating in tight candles. This is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, right? 8 weeks. That's about 2 months of consolidation, and then we had this move, right? So here as well, we are consolidating for a lot of time, and then we have a movement, right? So in my opinion, I'd say Bitcoin is going to drop once again. The objective has been met, of course, so that's a win. But the drop once again is going to take some time. So I will update that as well, but it's going to take a lot of time, all right? It's going to take a couple of weeks, so you should be quite mindful of it. Am I saying that price cannot just drop aggressively right there? I'm sorry, right here. Am I saying that? Not at all. It can do that. But the way we read prices, whenever price takes a liquidity pool, it's going to have a retracement, probably going to consolidate a new AMD cycle, a new power of 3. Right, on the daily time frame. And that is when we'll be involved once again. All right, so for now, Bitcoin has reached its objective, and that is where we are at. Ethereum, you can see we have reached the objective as well, but on the weekly time frame, you can see that the next draw is going to be here at 1,382. We have a nice drop, we have a nice closure through it, so we should, in my opinion, get to 1,382. All right, that is really where the draw on liquidity is going to be. All right, so I've explained this quite in few details and really shown you what works, just for value gaps, just highs and lows, just a clear understanding of where the next liquidity is. All right, that is just all you need to know. And once you do get to know that, being a part of the move is quite easy. Just enter at your fair value gaps, just to keep it really simple. All right. Okay, let's see if you have any questions, or if you have any questions, just let me know in the chat. All right. Okay, so there is a question. Your analysis on EuroCAD, GBP CAD, US oil, and USD CHF. All right. So I do not trade those pairs at all. Reads 101. I don't really trade any of those pairs, but I can definitely look into them, or probably one of them. So let's just go to EuroCAD and just have a look at it. All right, so let me just show you how I do this. All right, so first on the monthly time frame, not really relevant. Here, probably zoom in a bit. Now what do you see here? You have a clear draw on liquidity, right? Which is going to be your April's high. So this is the first thing I'll mark out right there. Go to the weekly time frame. And we have a clear defined high right here, which is at 1.62488. And what else do you see here? Just in terms of what I've just taught you, right? Which is going to be your fair value gaps and your highs and lows. So you have a real defined high right there, which I just marked out. And your fair value gap is going to be right here. Okay. You can see the previous week, we have taken out the week's low into a weekly fair value gap and expanded quite aggressively. And we closed above the previous week's high as well. Okay. So this just means that price will most likely gravitate towards this high, right? So just to keep it simple, I would be bullish on EuroCAD, and I would wait for price to get to 1.6488. All right, so I'm going to be bullish. So you can also go to the daily time frame, probably mark out your daily fair value gaps, right? So in this case, would be really simple and easy, right? We have a bullish daily fair value gap, which is going to be right about here. So I would keep an eye on this. When price opens the following week on Monday, I'd say we drop into this daily fair value gap and expand all the way higher to these highs, right? You can see that the daily fair value gap works quite well right here. Daily fair value gap pushes higher, moves lower, weekly fair value gap. That's why you don't see anything here on the daily time frame. Expands higher. Now we have a daily fair value gap once again. So price should push through it and expand higher. All right. So if that is all that's going to be in the chat for the day, hope you all learn from this and hope you all really understand what I'm trying to get to, which is just going to be choosing the correct liquidity is more important than anything else. And your fair value gaps will help you get into positions when your liquidity is defined. All right, that is just going to be the gist of everything that I've shown you here in the past 4 or 5 weeks. I conduct them every weekend on a Sunday just to show you all that that is all you would require. All right, to clearly understand in which direction price is going, why it's moving, why do you need to follow, all of that. All right. So I will be making a couple more videos for you all to, if you really want to understand more of this price action in depth. So do stay tuned for that and do subscribe to the channel if that's what it is. And with that, I will take your leave. Do take care and have a great weekend ahead or a great week ahead. And hopefully we get some good setups to take advantage of. All right. So with that, I'll end the stream here, guys. Thank you all for joining. And I shall speak to you all next Sunday at the same time. All right. Bye-bye.